Hi there, and welcome to this episode of True Tales and Other Lies. Now, if you're listening to this while curled up on the couch, maybe you're in your pajamas, perhaps you're avoiding a social obligation, maybe you have a platter on your coffee table, a glass of wine in your hand. Now, if that's you at the moment, then you're perfectly set for this episode. But, you don't have to be in that setting to enjoy this episode. Well, I hope you enjoy it. But before I get into this episode, I would like to start with a little game of Who Am I? I'm going to give you some quotes from our mystery person. So I've got a list here of quotes, and you have to guess who I am. Okay, let's go. 1. They don't know that we know they know we know. 2. Oh, you like that? You should hear my phone number. 3. Catwoman, so we meet again. 4. I just have this really strong feeling that this cat is my mother. And 5, which is my personal favourite. Oh, I'd love to, but I don't want to. Got it? Maybe you need another clue? Okay, so the next line should give it away. And I'm not going to sing it. Smelly cat, smelly cat. Yeah, of course. It's the incomparable, the inspiration for this episode, my favourite friend, the one and only Phoebe Buffay. In the 90s, some of my biggest light bulb moments came from the unapologetic self-assurance of Phoebe Buffay. I just love her. Mainly Ms. Buffay, Phoebe, let's just call her Phoebe. Phoebe taught me the subtle art of saying no, a completely guilt-free and empowering no, the absolute freedom of embracing my inner JOMO. Yes, today I'm going to celebrate the subtle art of JOMO, which includes how to say no. So, what is JOMO? JOMO is the opposite of FOMO. JOMO is the joy of missing out. And yet, look, I have some lovely FOMO friends, so please don't start hyperventilating about never missing out. JOMO is not about becoming a social outcast, not for me. I'm not advocating for living in a cave and not communicating, or just communicating through, cryptic carrier pigeons or random weird text messages. No. JOMO for me is about making choices and being selective about those choices and choosing to say yes to me and choosing what actually makes me happy. And also not just emptying my tank. Like when you think about work and domestic duties, which take up so much time and energy and cognitive space, to go out and socialise on top of all of that can be really exhausting depending on where you're going and what you're doing. Yeah, it's about being selective about what's right for me and what makes me happy. Do you know there are 2 types of people? For me, there are 2 types of people. There are those people that when you're with them, they just fill up your tank and they fill you up with joy and you walk away feeling more energized and happier about yourself and the world that you're in. But then there are also people who you spend time with them and you walk away and you feel like they've emptied your tank. They've sucked the life out of you and you walk away feeling absolutely exhausted. And sometimes people, meander between filling you up with joy and also sucking you out, because people have different moods and things happen in life, and I get that. But for me, JOMO is about being selective and wanting to spend time with those people who fill me up with joy, who get me, who I don't have to kind of think about, what I have to say too much. So that's what it is. It's about those kind of selective choices. Now, of course, now that I'm a woman of a certain age, I've spent almost my entire life being a people pleaser. It's only in the last, let me think, maybe 10 years that I've figured out that it's okay to say no to people without beating myself up for a week. And thanks to Phoebe Buffay, I now sing from the JOMO song sheet. Now, in the 90s, I didn't really get it. I didn't really figure out that, saying, oh, I'd love to, but I don't want to. I would never have had the guts to have said that back in the 90s when I was in my 20s. But now, it's such an empowering, liberating feeling to actually say no to certain things, whether it's, in the family, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in a social situation, or a combination of those things. Now, for me, gone are the days of that dreaded, gut-wrenching sense of obligation to go to things that, deep down, I'd rather chew off my own arm to avoid. Let's get back to Phoebe Buffay. She is more than just the queen of bizarre backstories and smelly cat ballads. She is the ultimate role model for those of us who have finally embraced the sheer, unapologetic joy of saying no, and JOMO, the joy of missing out, knowing that you're doing something that makes you happy rather than something that you feel obliged to do. Phoebe never over-explained. She never concocted dramatic excuses. She never panicked about her no and how it might be received. She just looked people dead in the eye and said, oh, I'd love to come, but I don't want to. And that was that. No frantic backtracking, no fake enthusiasm, no, oh, I'm washing my hair or I have a thing that night. Just a solid, guilt-free, bulletproof no. And it doesn't have to be an aggressive no. It doesn't have to be, oh, God, no, I would hate to do that. No, that's not what it is about. But being able to say no unapologetically without all that guilt, that's the energy that I want in my life and that what I have in my life now. So let's talk a little bit about FOMO, the fear of missing out. It's that toxic little voice whispering, everyone else is going. It's going to be amazing. If I don't go, I'll regret it forever. Or, what was my personal favourite, if I say no, they will take it personally. They'll think that I hate them. They'll never invite me again, and I'll die alone, surrounded by cats who don't even like me. And let's be honest, we all have at least one friend or family member who is a travel agent for guilt trips. When we get that response, oh, you're really not coming, but everyone else is. Oh, well, I suppose we'll just have an incredible time without you. Yeah, there are a lot of variations on that. Meanwhile, JOMO, the joy of missing out, is the deep, soul-quenching relief of not forcing myself to do things I never wanted to do in the first place. JOMO is the absolute euphoria of hearing the words, oh, hey, we need to reschedule. When you get that phone call or that text message, oh, I'm really sorry, but we're going to have to cancel or reschedule. And you have that huge sigh of relief and do a little happy dance and put on your favourite show or, read your favourite book or go for a walk or do whatever. JOMO is seeing photos from an event you skipped and feeling nothing. Well, this is how I feel, which is probably not a good thing. Sometimes I just feel really smug when I look at photos and think, oh, it's great that you're having a good time, but man, I'm so glad that I wasn't there. Oh, yeah, I had a much more calm and happy time sitting on the sofa in my dressing gown with a bowl of pasta. It's that kind of feeling, which, look, I'm not smug to my friends when they show me photos. I think, good on you, you're having a great time, you do you. For me, JOMO gives me a sense of freedom because for years years and years, I operated under the false assumption that declining an invitation required an Oscar-worthy excuse. I just couldn't say no. I had to justify it if I did have to say no, preferably with some mildly tragic backstory, which then you've got to remember, which is a nightmare. So I'd say things like, I mean, this is not really what I'd say, but I'd love to, but my second cousin's hamster just died and we're holding a candlelight vigil in his honour. I mean, stupid things like that. But at some point, I figured out that not every invitation is an obligation. The reason that there's an RSVP is so that you can respond with either a yes or a no, or an accept or a decline. It's not jury duty. It's just an event. So I started filtering my commitments through one very simple question. Do I actually want to do this? And when I started asking myself that question, I became a lot more comfortable about saying no, making those selective choices. But I then did have to figure out how I was going to say no to certain people without them taking it personally. Now, I can't control the way they respond, but I can control the way that I behave. And that's in the way that I say no to things, but also how I respond to their reaction when you get that, oh, well, whatever, we'll just have to have an amazing time without you. Oh, well, whatever. That whatever drives me nuts. So the moment I started saying like a nice soft no without going on with some huge dramatic backstory excuse, I actually discovered a few things. And that is, the things that I do say yes to, I enjoy them so much more because they're things I genuinely want to do, not things I got guilt-tripped into attending. I also, it was so good to not have to over-explain everything. So saying no thanks without launching into an elaborate 10-minute justification, that is so liberating. And the other thing is, okay, this is silly, but I guess I became a little bit mysterious. The less I justified my choices, the more people assumed I had something more thrilling planned. And look, yeah, for me, more thrilling is maybe curled up on the couch, reading my book and having a giant cheese platter and a glass of wine. Not that I can drink anymore, but you get the idea. And I'm not talking just about saying no to social invitations. You know, when friends ask you or family ask you to do them a favour, and the favour involves something that you really don't want to do. It's just, it might not seem like a big deal for them, but for you, it's like, I don't need that kind of, I don't want that. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to give you an example, but I don't know, would you, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but it's about saying no to people when they say, can you come over and look after my children? If you have to say no, just say no. But boy, sometimes it's really hard to say no. What used to be for me, not anymore. Now, the best thing that I discovered, and some people take longer than others, is that people actually adjust and accept it when you say no. It's like, oh, okay, all right, that's fine. And most people are really good about hearing a no or a gratefully decline or thank you for the invitation, but yeah, it's not going to work for me. So, yeah, at first, there was some confusion. Some people push back. Some people give you that, but why? But eventually, people accept it, and your real friends will accept it. I wouldn't want one of my best friends to do something just out of obligation, just because I've asked them to do it. I would much rather them say, yeah, that's not my thing, rather than, go away and dread having to do that thing with me. So I think your real friends and even your family, your family gets over stuff like that anyway, don't they? Now, I guess some of you were thinking, or some of you may be thinking that, all right, this all sounds fantastic, but how do I actually get out of doing things without offending the people in my life? Now, I have more than one friend and family member who takes a no thank you as a personal affront, and they'll pull out the good old passive aggressive card, and then sometimes, more often than not, this whole gaslighting thing starts. Now, I have to make it clear also that I have told my friends and family that I don't do well in crowds anymore, that I don't like going to the cinema, and I don't like sharing a bedroom in a twin share situation. I like to have my own bedroom and my own bathroom. And in fact, if I have a choice, I want to sleep in my own bed every night. Obviously, I still want to go on holidays. I'm not saying I don't want to go away. But if I have a choice, I'm sleeping in my own bed. There are also those friends whose passive-aggressive meter increases incrementally with the time it takes you to reply to a text message. So there's that as well. So I've often told my friends, look, if you can say it in a text, just text me. If it's an emergency, text me and tell me it's an emergency and I'll call you straight away. But I'm not glued to my phone. And I have stressed this to my friends and family, and for the most part, everybody respects the way I choose to interact with my phone and my devices. The majority of my friends and family actually share my sentiments because I will intentionally unplug from my devices. I will leave my phone in another room on silent, or I'll even just put the do not disturb notification on my phone. And for the most part, most people handle their phones very similar way to the way that I do, especially people who work. So, I don't think I'm alone in that, I'm not one for just calling somebody up and having a chat on the phone just for the sake of having a chat. I would much rather you send me a text message and say, hey, let's catch up for coffee and I can talk to you in person. Now, I know that that's not possible when, I've got friends overseas, I've got friends interstate, but if you're local and if we can, let's do a coffee or let's go for a walk, rather than just get on the phone and chat. I have to say, though, that earbuds do make having a phone conversation easier because you can walk around and you don't feel that you're stuck to this phone. So, yeah, but I do have a couple of friends and family members who are permanently plugged into their phones. And look, I am 100% okay with that. I respect them. You do you. If that's how you want to work, if that's how you want to do things, then I'm not going to criticise you for that, but it's not me. So you do you and I'll do me, and I do very happily and JOMO-ly disconnect from my devices at different times during the day, because my primary intention is to stay present in the moment, in the place where I am at the time, especially if I am with somebody in person or if I'm in the middle of doing something. For me, my phone is a secondary priority, and sometimes it's my last priority. But anyway, I digress. This is not really JOMO stuff. This is more John P stuff or Joan P stuff. The joy of no phone interruption. Or Jotone, the joy of turning off notifications. But yeah, that's a whole other topic, maybe for another podcast. But yeah, phone use is an interesting concept these days, isn't it? But yeah, I'm not going to talk about that. Let me try. I'm going down a rabbit hole there. So yes, I'm committed to keeping a really positive focus on all of my podcasts. So I'm not going to dwell on the FOMO phone enthusiasts, because that's fine. I don't have a problem with you do you. But yeah, let's get back to JOMO. Let's get back to the topic at hand. So yes, I have spent the last, let's say, 10 years perfecting the art of saying no with grace, without guilt, without excuses, and without accidentally agreeing to something that I'll regret later. Now, here are a few of my favourite how to say no techniques. First of all, the Phoebe buffet method. Just say it. Oh, I'd love to, but I don't want to. This works particularly well if you're saying it to somebody who is a fan of Friends. No fluff, no excuse, just a solid, bulletproof no. Then there is what I like to call the enthusiastic deflection. Oh, that sounds amazing. Have the best time. Okay. Supportive, encouraging, but not a commitment. It puts it back on the person who wants to do it. Have a fantastic time. I can't wait to hear all about it later on. Then there's the no explanation needed approach. Oh, look, I can't make it, but thanks for thinking of me. No fake illnesses, no tragic schedule conflict, no calling up or texting the day of to say, oh, something's come up. Just a clean, simple no. Then there's the chaos technique. So if someone refuses to take no for an answer, then I counter with something even worse. I can't. I'm deep into reorganizing my sock drawer alphabetically. All right, that's kind of crazy. It will work with friends who have a sense of humour and get that you're saying no, but you don't want to hurt their feelings because you've got this little tone of humour to it. It's a little bit sarcastic, and it's suggesting that your life is really chaotic at the moment and it's just too hard. And then, of course, there are a couple of different examples to this, and that is sometimes it's called the Irish goodbye. Sometimes, more often than not, I call it the sly exit or the silent exit. So this is when I do end up at something that I was happy to go to for a short time for the main part of the event, but I do not want to hang around all night or all day. So it's like when you want to make an appearance, when you want to see people and catch up for a short amount of time, but then when you're ready to leave, you just slip out. You just leave. No need for an announcement. No drawn out goodbyes. No people trying to pressure you into staying. You just disappear into the night or into the afternoon, whatever the case may be. And whenever I do this, whenever I do the sly exit, I always follow up with a text saying, thank you so much for such a wonderful time. It was great to see you. Sorry, I didn't see you to say goodbye. So otherwise, some people do get upset. So I've been rambling on for a while now. But at its core, JOMO isn't about being antisocial. It's about being intentional. It's about choosing joy, your inner joy, your self-care over external obligation. It's about peace over pressure. I mean, peer pressure's for high school, right? JOMO is about saying hell yes to the things that you really want to do and absolutely not to the things that you really don't want to do. So the next time you're about to say yes to something purely out of guilt, stop. Channel your inner Phoebe Buffet and ask yourself, do I really actually want to do this? And if the answer is a really clear, solid no, then you can say it with me, you can change it up, channel that inner Phoebe Buffet. Oh, I'd love to come, but I don't want to. And yeah, you can work with that. So if you have enjoyed this episode, I'd love to hear your comments. Perhaps you didn't enjoy the episode. Again, I'd love your comments. Give me some feedback. Too long, too short, too rambling? Should I script it more? What's going on for you? And remember, this is my... There are a couple of quotes. The best plans are sometimes no plan at all. And my favourite, which is from John Lennon, is life is what happens while you're busy making other plans. So stay fabulous, stay home, and I'll see you next time. Unless, of course, you decide to miss it. And I'll respect that. Thanks for listening. Bye.